Hey, what's up everybody? It's your friendly neighborhood Tony here, back again with another Blu-ray review, and today we have 2 movies and 3 discs. That's right, today we are going to be going over both the Addams Family and Addams Family Values. But not only do I have the double feature here on Blu-ray, I went ahead and picked up the first movie separately on 4K, and I'll explain why in today's video. So, as I do in all my videos, I've got my notes here. Let's go over some of the information about both of these movies. We'll talk about who's in them, who made them when they came out. I'll give you my thoughts on both of them, let you know if I think there's something that is worth you picking up. And then finally, we'll get into the special features that you can find on either one of these discs. The Addams Family movie came out in 1991 with the sequel Addams Family Values coming out in 1993. The Addams Family comic strip was written by Charles Addams, and both movies were directed by Barry Sonnenfield, who you may know from a movie called Wild Wild West, starring Will Smith, or another series of movies also starring Will Smith called Men in Black. I think that one might be a little more popular. The first Addams Family movie was written by Caroline Thompson, who also wrote a few movies you've probably heard of: Edward Scissorhand, Homeward Bound, Nightmare Before Christmas, and Corpse Bride. So she has done a lot of really good movies and a lot of movies with Tim Burton. Now, Caroline didn't write the first movie on her own. She was also joined by Larry Wilson, who you may know from writing Beetlejuice and also several episodes of Tales from the Crypt. So you have a really great team of writers on the first movie. On the second movie, you have Paul Rudnick, who wrote a movie called The Stepford Wives, which is okay, I guess, and also the Sister Act movies, which these are not great movies by any means, but I do think that he's a really good writer. In fact, a little bit of a spoiler about what I think about both movies. I feel like the second one was better written, despite the fact that the first one had seemingly better writers on it. Not only was the writing really good in both movies, but I feel like the actors and actresses that played the main characters, the Addams Family, were also really, really good. You have Anjelica Huston playing Morticia, who is incredible in her role. Absolutely loved her. You also have the late, great Raul Julia playing Gomez, who will be sorely missed. He was a great actor. You also have Christopher Lloyd, that's right, Doc Brown, is playing Fester Addams, which is Gomez's brother. And I gotta tell you, I really feel like Christopher Lloyd completely disappears in this role. I didn't even know it was him until much later than I should have. You also have a very young Christina Ricci playing Wednesday Addams, who is absolutely hilarious in her role. She is so dark and twisted and is just obsessed with murder and death, and it is hilarious. And now my favorite part, letting you guys know about some cameos that you may not have noticed in both of these movies. I'm gonna try a little something different today. I'm messing around with some video editing software, so let's see if I can throw up some pictures over in the corner here, or maybe this corner, I don't know. Let's see, keep an eye out. In the first movie, you have a cameo by Dan Hedaya, who you may not recognize that name, but I assure you, you would recognize this guy's face. He's in tons and tons of movies. I think I recognize him most from The Usual Suspects. He's also in Night at the Roxbury. He was in Alien Resurrection. He's just been in a million movies over the years. So he has a role in the first movie. In the second movie, a bit of a larger role, you have Joan Cusack, who is playing kind of Fester's love interest in the second movie. You also have 2 quick cameos, one by Nathan Lane, who plays a police officer that they talk to for just a couple minutes, but he's in the movie. And finally, Tony Shalhoub, that's right, Monk, is in the movie for a very small cameo. He plays this, I think he's French, sailor, and he's at this bar singing Macho Man. So he's in the movie as well. Hopefully, if I know what I'm doing with the video editing, you'll see their pictures somewhere on the screen. It's just cool to get these little cameos from actors that you may recognize from other things down the road. And of course, being 1991 and 1993, these are really kind of the earlier works from some of these people who would go on to do much greater things in the future. Now, before we get into my thoughts on the movies and on the Blu-ray discs, I want to let you know just a quick plot summary about these movies. Maybe I should push this part earlier into the video. I'm not sure. I'm still working out the kinks here. Just to let you know what these 2 movies are about. The first plot summary, and again, I'm pulling these off of IMDb. That's usually just the easiest way to give you a quick synopsis. The first one says, con artists plan to fleece an eccentric family using an accomplice who claims to be their long-lost uncle. So essentially, there are these con artists who are trying to get the money and mansion out from underneath the Addams family, and in order to do so, they are pretending that one of them is a long-lost relative of the Addams family. The plot summary for the second movie says the Addams family try to rescue their beloved Uncle Fester from his gold-digging new love, a black widow named Debbie. Also in the second one, you get a new member of the Addams family. That's right, Morticia Addams gives birth to this adorable little baby that breathes fire and shoots arrows. You have the introduction of this new baby and how the kids deal with having a younger sibling. I don't want to spoil anything about what they do, but there are some scenes in the second movie that are absolutely hilarious. So my overall thoughts on both movies, I'll tell you what, I saw these when I was a kid, and I remember thinking they were likable enough, they were fun enough, but didn't really click with me. And watching these as an adult, these movies are hilarious. I think, if I'm being honest, the second movie is even funnier than the first. There are just so many one-liners that hit you one after the other in both movies, but especially in the second movie, they are just turned up to 11, and you are just hit with a barrage of funny quips all throughout it. Also, of course, kind of as I mentioned before, I don't think there's a weak link really in these movies. The actor that plays Pugsley, which is the younger brother of the Addams family, he probably gets the least screen time and the least attention towards him, which is unfortunate for him, but also that actor you don't really hear much from going forward. I haven't really heard anything of him. Of course, Christina Ricci is still really big. Anjelica Huston is an icon. Raul Julia is a legend. Christopher Lloyd, another legend. So really, he was surrounded by these tremendous actors that were going to go on to do much grander things. And I think he was perfectly fine in his role. They just did a bit more. I think one of the other things that I really appreciate about this movie is these movies are without a doubt dark comedies, right? And I am a big fan of dark comedies. One of my favorite movies of all time is American Psycho, which is about as dark as a comedy can get. And these are nowhere near that. These are much, much more slapstick than something like American Psycho. But the balance that they maintain between being kind of screwed up, but also just being hilarious is perfect. And I think that really has a lot to do with the ability of the actors and actresses to kind of walk that line and make you not take anything they're saying too seriously, but also the writers. The writers are just nonstop with the jokes in these, and it doesn't feel too heavy-handed. You know, you can go too far with jokes and make it just so that you don't feel anything for the characters and it's just nothing but a vehicle for laughter, which is good in some movies. But in this one, you just really become attached to the individual characters, of course, mainly through the actors and actresses, but also because of the writing. And also, I would say, through a lot of what the director does with how he has chosen to shoot the movie. So I think it goes without saying, I absolutely love both of these movies. I definitely recommend you check them both out if you haven't already, or if you haven't watched them like I hadn't since I was a kid. Definitely go back and check these out, because I feel like you're going to get a lot more out of them as an adult than you probably did when you were a little kid. Now, let's get to the actual physical media portion. As I mentioned before, and as you saw, I have two different copies here. One of them is the Blu-ray double pack that comes with both movies, and the other is the 4K release of just the first Addams Family movie. So why in the world did I buy the 4K version if I already have it on Blu-ray? Well, I'll tell you what. Although the Blu-ray is perfectly fine and the movies look reasonably okay on HD, the 4K version of this first movie is stunning. Now, I'm not someone who can really pick out everything that was done with digital noise reduction and how they scaled it down from a 8K. I don't know any of that stuff, to be honest with you, but I do know what I'm looking at. And when I compare the Blu-ray and the 4K version, the 4K is just leagues ahead. It honestly looks like something that was filmed much, much, much more recently, especially when you consider that this movie came out 30 years ago. It is incredible what they were able to do with the 4K version. Also on the 4K version, you're getting a bit of some additional content. This one is what they call the version with more mamushka. And if you've seen the first movie, you understand what mamushka is. It's this whole ridiculous dance scene that they have in the first movie. And in the original version, or in the Blu-ray version, or in the theatrical version, they cut that down a lot. And they really have added a lot back in to this movie. That scene is much more extensive. And oftentimes when you're watching director versions of movies that have all these extended scenes, they can feel a bit dragged on. You know, that's often why they cut them down, is because the audience is going to feel like it goes on for too long. But I did not feel that at all watching this movie. In fact, I really enjoyed that scene. I thought it was really well done. And I appreciate that they put the full scene back in the movie. Also on the 4K Blu-ray, you're getting a couple of special features. I will tell you, on the Blu-ray itself, you get nothing. You get the movies, and that's it. There are no special features on either movie in this Blu-ray, so know that going into it. On the 4K version, you do get a couple things, so let's go over that real quick. For one, you're getting just a short 30-second introduction by the director Barry Sonnenfeld that plays right before the more mamushka version of the movie. You do get the original version of the movie as well, so if you're interested in that, you're getting both on the same disc. You also get a short 7-minute featurette that has some archival footage. It's basically the cast and the director just talking about the movie. You can tell that it's from many, many years ago, of course, because Raul Julia's in it, and he passed away, I believe, in 1994. But you do get this kind of 7-minute throwback featurette with some of them talking about the movie. You also have a featurette that is about 16 minutes in length. It is called The Filmmakers Focus, Barry Sonnenfield on the Addams Family. And that is Barry Sonnenfeld giving, I keep saying Sonnenfield, I'm sorry, Sonnenfeld, giving kind of a commentary over the movie. He talks about his history as a cinematographer. He was initially doing cinematography and didn't want to direct, so he talks about what got him interested in directing, particularly with this first film. And he also talks about choosing his crew, choosing the cast, picking the different people that he wanted to play the characters. So it's just a nice 16-minute featurette with that as well. You're not getting a ton of special features with any of these versions. I would love a director commentary. There are legends about some of the difficulty that Barry Sonnenfeld had to go through to get this movie made, and I would love to just hear him talk about that throughout the track of the movie, but you unfortunately don't get that. That said, I will say the special features that you do get on the disc are really great, and if only for the image quality itself, this 4K pickup is totally worth it. Overall, those are my thoughts on the Addams Family and Addams Family Value. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Have you seen either or both of these movies? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Or what is your favorite dark comedy? I think mine is going to be American Psycho, but I'd love to hear what your guys' favorites are. So that's it for me. Thanks again so much for tuning in, everybody. If you want, I have a playlist of all of my movie reviews right over here that you can check out. Otherwise, go ahead and click the subscribe button so that way you can be informed of when I post my next movie review. I'm going to try to keep these coming out as long as you guys keep watching it. So thanks again. Have a great day and be good.